He is desperately trying to get on. His internet has unfortunately gone down, and he is really keen to get on just now, so is desperately trying to. And yes, he had managed to go on earlier, but unfortunately. Internet, we're in the internet gods realm just now. I'm sorry, Anne-Marie.
No, no, it's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. I'll keep looking for him coming on. If you wanted
Okay.
to do it, maybe even a wee introduction of how you and Stephen met,
Yeah.
and it might give him a chance to get on.
Okay. Yeah.
Just whatever you think, Angela.
Right. Okay. Well, before I ask for our slides, because the way our slides run, it is actually Stephen's story and his experiences, and I think that it's really important and really crucial for him to be doing that. And so at the if we need to, then I'll certainly be able to give you the notes, but it's not the same as Stephen being able to tell you how he has survived brain injury and a stroke. I've certainly, I'm Angela Sprott. I'm the brain injury coordinator from Western Berkshire, and we've run a community service over in Western Berkshire, which covers Dumbarton, Clydebank, Alexandria areas. I've been there since 2005, and I met Stephen in 2006. He's been very much an integral part of leading, developing, working with BN. Not only that, but he's been a co-trainer on a variety, and you'll hear about that in a wee while, and a variety of different sessions, training sessions. So I have to say that I would say that if Stephen wasn't part of BN, then BN certainly would not be the group that it is today. He very much has been not just the secretary, but the social convener, and a very active role. I have. I think we need to have our slides up. Could we please have our slides up? Thank you. Oh, I think Stephen's on the phone. If you give me just a second. Hi, Stephen. Are you managing to get on? Can't get on. Anne-Marie, could you please send him the link and he will try again?
I've just sent it there just now, Stephen.
Sent it to you again. She just sent it to you again. Stephen, will I just start? I'll have to start. Okay. Right. Hope it's okay. Speak to you later. Bye. Right. Stephen's going to try and get on. This is Stephen's story, and I'm really sorry, but it won't have the same import. I can't do it. It's a very important story, and I'll try my best. I'm really sorry. This is Stephen's story, and it's the truth, the whole truth, and about as much as Stephen can remember. Next slide, please. Stephen was living 18 years ago in Gloucester. He had to move down with his job, and at that time was working for Blockbuster Video. Does anyone remember them? Next slide, please. On the 8th of May 2002, after he finished his shift and helped to lock up the shop, Stephen started on his way home. Next slide, please. On the way home, as he was nearing an empty house that was next to a train level crossing, Stephen was seriously assaulted and then thrown down a set of wooden stairs. He'd just had a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, and that was the last he remembers. The truth that Stephen can't remember until...
Angela, sorry for interrupting. Stephen is now on.
Thank you very much. So sorry, Stephen.
It's okay. Stephen, just put your video on now.
Can you get your video to work, your mic to work, Stephen? Can you unmute your mic?
Graham, are you able to help us out here with Stephen's mic?
Yes, and that's me just unmuted Stephen. Wait 2 seconds. I'm not sure his sound's actually connected, unfortunately, Anne-Marie, at the moment. I'm just unmuting him, but it's still showing as muted. Again. There we go. I think that's Stephen now.
Yes.
Hi, Stephen.
I'm back on. Sorry about
Oh, I'm so sorry. I could never give your story. I can't tell your experiences because they're not mine.
that. No problem. Want to start from scratch?
We've got. Can we get our slides up again, please?
Yes, Anne-Marie and Angela, would you like me just to start from the first slide again for Stephen?
Be fantastic. Yes, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. I've given them a wee preview, but it was only a wee snippet.
Stephen Cochran, my story. Or the truth,
Next slide, please.
the whole
Next slide,
truth,
please.
and as much as we can remember.
Next slide,
please.
Thank you.
18 years ago, I was living in Gloucester. I moved in with my work. I ended up working for the company Blockbuster Video. Whatever happened to them?
Next slide, please.
On 8th of May 2002, after I finished my shift and helped lock up the shop, I started on my long walk home.
Next slide, please.
On my way home, I was nearing a train level crossing next to an old empty house. I was seriously assaulted and thrown down a set of wooden stairs. That was the last. I had just had a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. That was the last I remember. The truth is, I didn't remember that until my late father told me where I was found, stuck under the last stairs so no one would find me. But luckily I was found by a nurse coming home from the local hospital.
Next slide, please.
I was rushed to Gloucester Royal Hospital, where because of the injuries I received, they done a CT, computerized tomography brain scan. That's when they found out I also had a brain cyst, an acquired brain injury. 2 birds, 1 set of stairs.
Next slide, please.
I was rushed down to Frenchy Hospital, Bristol, where a professor of neurosurgery was called in to perform the surgery, which took 6.5 hours. They inserted a shunt into the right side of my brain. But with the sisters, they can never remove it. I'll always have it within my head. I stayed in hospital for a couple of months for tests and recovery before being sent to my house back in Gloucester.
Next slide, please.
For the next 2 months, I was at the hospital for psychology. I was given tests like, remember this name from the papers, and then half an hour later, what was the name I asked you to remember? As of what happened, as if I could remember. Later, it became just a little bit easier. Don't know what to say in Gloucester of what happened to me there. There was nothing for me there. There was no physiotherapy, no speech therapy, no therapy at all. It was my job, which I was still employed at. It took me around 9 months to get things sorted out. Each month I had to walk to work to hand in my sick line for my SSP, statutory sick pay. The one thing the work gave me was the strength to continue moving forward. Even after what my boss had said. My late father went to see him right after leaving hospital on the first day, tell him what happened. The only words out of my boss's mouth were, when will he be back? So I guess I must have been good at my job.
Next slide, please.
For 2 more years, after 2 more years, my parents helped me get a house back up in Bon Hill, Alexandra, which I finally moved into at the end of March 2005. At the end of 2006 through 2007, I was taken up to the Southern General Hospital in the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, severe pains in the left side of my head. I taken them for a CT scan each time, they could not find what was wrong with me, and I was sent back home.
Next slide, please.
A good 2 months later, on the 26th of August 2007, I was having a birthday party with both my younger brother and younger sister. After an hour, I started to feel a pain in my right leg, like a dead leg. Thinking nothing of it, I continued to enjoy the fun and the food. A little while later, I collapsed. I was rushed up to the General Hospital, Southern General Hospital, and I told my parents what had just happened to me. I had a small hole in the basal artery, which caused me to suffer an interaxial hemorrhagic interstitial hemorrhagic stroke, get that right? I was 37. I was kept in the hospital for only 6 days. A few
Next slide,
days-
please.
Next slide, please. A few years later, I was released. I was living in the hospital for physiotherapy and speech therapy. These were the best things that ever happened to me. So for the next 6 weeks, I was there for therapy. Both were very hard to start with. Physiotherapy gave me one of the hardest things I had to do. I had to build up. They gave me plastic cups and asked me to build them up in a tower. Top to bottom, bottom to top, 6 high, with my injured hand. But the best day was the day I completed it. Because out of the front splits, I would have. Speech therapy was like a child in school, and I mean primary 2 or 3 with the books they asked me to read. It was like Jericho's shopping, or Bill crosses the road, or someone who was 37. They were hell. But as you can see, they helped. After all, did write this myself, almost.
Next slide, please.
After both the assault and the hemorrhagic stroke, there were things I needed. I needed things to be written down, so I could remember them. So I could need to carry a pen and paper with me everywhere I went. I needed not to have gaps in my support. I still wanted to be consistent and ongoing. I need someone to create a clear connection between different services, such as physiotherapy, psychology, and social work, and also have the most comprehensive care available. So this happened for me.
Next slide, please.
A few months later, after my brain bleed, my social worker came round to the house from Western Barnshire Brain Injury Team. They told me about how they could help. Part of the discussion was also about the brain group, and how they could help me as well. I wished them off a couple of times. I did not want to be reminded of what I'd been through. I felt too young to have suffered a hemorrhagic stroke, but eventually I went along to the group. After the next couple of months in the group, they had their first AGM annual renal meeting, and decided to apply to be secretary. That was 13 seasons ago. And for some strange reason, he seemed to pick me every year to do that job. So I guess I must be doing something right. As I said, in my 12th year, 13th season, working for and helping the brain group, they're a wonderful group of ladies and gentlemen who all suffered either an acquired brain injury or a traumatic brain injury. Don't ask. We get together once a month and discuss what the trips are going to go on. We're going to have guest speakers or a wonderful group of musicians that can entertain us. I am a secretary, and I write out the agendas which the chair uses during the meeting. After the meeting is finished, I write the minutes and they're all posted out to the members. I am also the social convener, person who organises the trips. I find what they're going like to do, and then help and organise where the trip is going to go to, and help and organise transport which will help take the brain group to their destination. I love to have the chance to help my good friends have fun with the trips. I also get people and musicians in to help entertain us or educate us. The middle of 2007, I was asked to do a talk up on Radio Scotland with the great John Beattie to talk about head injury. My good friend, the wonderful musician Robin Lucas. We spoke about head injury and how it has changed us, but not stopped us doing what we love. And how we're using that to help other people who have suffered a brain injury as well. Later near the end of 2007, I was asked to do a course called Partners in Policy Making. The course was wonderful, but I get to meet some wonderful people who I still keep in contact with today. And then in 2018, I was put forward for a Public Civic Award in the Western Barnshire by the members of the ABI team, though I did not win. Just being nominated was wonderful. The members of Brain Group and ABI team thought that what I was doing was outstanding. I've also done speeches for HIDS and SHIFT, Scottish Head Injury Forum, and various other local groups about my experiences. This is why this seems to be getting longer. Though as you can guess, it's still not easy for me to say. But when I finished, it's just to see the look on other people's faces. They listen to my story. See there's still hope for people to continue moving forward and never to look back. I know I cannot see your faces today. I do hope you have some inspiration from my story. To me, Linda Ronstadt sang it best. I mean, kicked by the wind, grabbed by the sleet. As you have just seen, I've had my head stove in, but I'm still on my feet. Which goes to prove that what Resignation said. That way to not kill me makes me stronger. I just hope because I'm with Ben, I'm so much mentally stronger than before. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. And people will see why it was so important that you tell us these and all the wonderful work. And I'm going to talk a wee bit about it, but again, I can't share all the wonderful work that you continue to do with BN and for other people who have survived very serious brain injuries. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome. Thank you. I need to disappear now.
I know you've got a bit of a family situation going on, so
Wow.
thank you for doing that this morning.
No problem at all. I enjoy doing it kind of thing. Take care. Thank you.
Take care. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you, Stephen. I'm Angela Sprott. I'm the service coordinator at the Western Berkshire ABI team, and I'd like to let you know a little bit about the history of BN and that BN group and some of the benefits to survivors of brain injury working together to give each other support along the way. Next slide, please. BN began as an idea in 2005, and we discussed this with brain injury survivors, carers, and community workers to see if a local group would be useful for people in Western Berkshire. The first 6 months of the meetings were very small, but everyone was determined to support the group, and eventually enough people attended for the group to start thinking through what they themselves wanted to get out of it, how often they wanted to meet, the format of those meetings, and their aims and activities. One of the important things from day one was that BN wanted to have a local identity of their own, and they made it clear that they didn't want to join Headway or any other group, and instead wanted to be an independent group run by brain injury survivors for brain injury survivors living in Western Berkshire. Next slide, please. For the first few years, as BN built up their own identity, the most important job I had was just to listen to them and find ways to make what they wanted actually happen. Turns out what they mainly wanted was a chance to meet up and talk to others with similar experiences, to chat and support each other through good and bad times, and to go out together to leisure and cultural activities. All good for rehabilitation, which was great in supporting each and every member with their own individual rehabilitation and reconnection into their community. Next slide, please. Our ABI team's role included helping them to get together, helping them to source and set up a venue for meetings, to publicise their group, and network with relevant folk who could also help the group, to help them to set up ground rules, to find out how to become a constituted group and to access training about committee roles, to find out what activities were out there and which were accessible, to help organise a bank account and get some funding. And it also involved random things like learning how to drive community buses, basically filling whatever gaps were needed in order for BN members to be able to grow as individuals and as a group. Next slide, please. In addition, BN wanted to be part of educating professionals about the consequences of brain injury. And very quickly, we established a joint training team with several survivors being able to co-train practitioners alongside the ABI team. Over the years, together, we've educated workers such as occupational therapists, physiotherapists, GPs, social workers, home care workers, criminal justice workers, support workers, carers, anybody we could find that wanted a bit of training, a bit of brain injury awareness training. We've done that, and we still do. BN have spoken to care inspectors, the director of our local health and social care partnership. They've taken part in strategy meetings. They've been an active part of the local ABI managed care network and have attended national events on brain injury. Next slide, please. Here are some slides of just some of the many wonderful BN activities that they've been involved in, whilst I'll talk of some of the difficulties we've gone through and how to get over these. Obviously, there have been some difficulties along the way, but we've managed to overcome these together. I've had several conversations with OTs, social workers and community workers about BN. Much of these chats have involved me learning about how to support BN better, but also I've spoken to workers about the importance of continuing to support groups such as BN on an ongoing basis, and not just leaving them to get on with things themselves. Each BN member is committed to the group, but many struggle to attend, for example, due to memory issues. And often when they're arranging things, the planning and organisation that goes into that is just too stressful and needs some help to ensure the activity goes ahead as it's wanted. It's vital to continue the support, but also to be clear with yourself and with them that it's their group. And so all the decisions are made by BN members, with ABI workers only being there to find ways to make their aims succeed. Next slide, please. Sometimes there have been harder lessons to learn. For example, the most notable occasion was in the early years when we weren't able to attend and we had to leave members and their carers to attend an evening outing without any of us workers. And their privately rented bus and driver took instructions from a BN member and left other members standing at bus stops along the route. Everyone eventually made the event, but we decided there and then that we needed to change our team support. And that was to include accessing and driving community minibuses, which we now do. But these hiccups have been few and far between because we understand that organisation and planning are difficult areas for the group. And every bit of planning is decided at their BN committee, and we attend that in order to take on any tasks that they need of us. Next slide, please. It can be a difficult balance at times, and we as workers don't always get it right, but we listen and learn along the way. The BN outings are full of fun and companionship. Singing on buses is not unheard of, and shared meals out are especially enjoyed and especially missed at this time. BN fishing trips include a session and annual prize for the biggest catch, and the annual trophy is dedicated to a member sadly passed. Local health walks have involved the group in wider community activities, and BN have attended various community events and meetings over the years. Next slide, please. It's been wonderful to be part of BN's achievements. They've published a booklet full of handy hints and tips for surviving and growing after brain injury. It's called The Journey. There are sections including dealing with professionals, coping with change, carer support, stories of lived experiences and getting back to work or meaningful activity in your own community. The journey is available online through the Western Bartonshire Health and Social Care Partnership Acquired Brain Injury Team page. Next slide, please. Bien then went on to make a DVD, which was great fun to make, of their own experiences called Getting Your Head Around Brain Injury. Some of these individual stories are available on the Bien Facebook page. Some of these individual stories are there, and you'll see some of the people that were involved in it in the slide just now. The DVD is used with potential new Bien members who find that it helps them realise they're not on their own and to ease them into attending the group. It's also, through being online, it's also received feedback from viewers as far afield as Canada and Australia, which really tickles the Bien group members. Next slide, please. Here's a couple of slides of the Bien leaflet, which was drawn up and printed off, and all arranged by Bien committee. Other achievements such as taking part in local community events, co-training professionals, being part of strategy groups, influencing local services, and national ones too, have all been amazing to watch. Next slide, please. It's also been a privilege to see individuals in Bien grow in their own confidence, abilities, and to share in their personal achievements. For example, the treasurer applying for and gaining grants on his own. The secretary and social convener writing and presenting at today's event and at other events. A Bien committee member winning photography competitions, and Bien committee members developing their own leaflet and going on to project plan future activities even through COVID. For example, they've been contacting a local heritage house to arrange a socially distanced outing when we're allowed to. They've been going and organising local small health walks and to take on and host and run their own, currently it's fortnightly Zoom meetings. Next slide, please. This is the Bien poster which they drew up, which has been exhibited at community and practitioner events. Bien's Facebook page is full of handy tips and also has kept members going through informative, funny, happy, hopefully, posts throughout the COVID period. Bien now host and run their own online Zoom meetings and have agreed to work alongside the ABI team in promoting monthly rehabilitation topics. So September we started this, and the first month is Feed My Body, Feed My Mind. Then next month is about exercise and activity. Next month, memory and planning, and then relationships and feelings. So these topics have just started. It doesn't take away from people's individual rehabilitations and what their goals might be at the moment, but this is just added information and again is helping the group to feel a wee bit more cohesive and together during this time of lockdown. Next slide, please. Bien have developed their own monthly newsletter, which is going out to everybody, which includes information about Bien activities, such as the small local healthy walks, and potential social distance visits, shared recipes, poems, whatever any of the members want in it, they put in. And they are currently looking at developing their members' online presence, having just been awarded a large grant to buy IT equipment, including tablets and computers. I don't know what the future holds for Bien, but I do know that I'll be both challenged and delighted to be part of it. As a worker, Bien has kept me working hard to stay true to my core values and my responsibilities. That is to the people in Western Bartonshire who've survived brain injury. Thank you, Bien, for all that you do. All those of you who are watching, thank you very much. And here's to the next 10 years. Next slide, please. This is the last slide, And it's the end of the slides. And thank you very much for listening. And here's just a couple of the links if they're of any use to anyone. Thank you very much.
Angela, thank you so much. I know we've run over time, but I just think there's one important question that I have to ask for everybody out there. How do you fund a group like BN?
Right. Okay. Yes. It's something that you need to explore. It's something that I think if the group had decided to be part of Headway, it would actually have been very much simpler, and we could, you've then got a big organisation that's able to look at grants and able to get some of the funding there. BN made it very clear they wanted to be a local group. Very much, they've got their own identity. So what we had to do was go to the Health and Social Care Partnership. So basically I went to my line managers, talked about, well, what could be funded through that. And as a constituted community group, they were able to get funding through the Health and Social Care Partnership for their venue. And anywhere that they want to meet up will be that rent is funded. But they also have done fundraising. So that's something that's been useful locally to have that local identity. They've got quite a big amount of money from fundraising locally, but a big part of it as well. And I know in Glasgow, is it the GCVS? For us, it's the Glasgow, for us, it's the CVS in Clydebank. And it's community voluntary service. And in Glasgow, it's the Glasgow Community Voluntary Services, and they have a large amount of information and can really help you and for small groups to get funded. So over the years, BN have managed to get funding through them, through community grants and through lottery grants. And yes, basically, you just keep asking for the money. Find somebody to ask, and find somebody to ask to help you.
Oh, that is fabulous. Angela, thank you so much. And I know Stephen has been so excited in the build up to this. We have had so many messages that they were really, really delighted with Stephen's presentation and
Thank goodness
inspired
you did.
also.
Yes.
So
Yes, it's very
I
inspiring.
took a note of all those messages and I'll be sending them on to Stephen later on. So I'm sure it'll bring a smile to his face. So thank you very much again, Angela, and speak to you soon.
Thank you. Enjoy your day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. So that is us going to finish for lunch. What a busy morning we've had. And this afternoon is going to be just as busy. We've got another 4 great speakers this afternoon. So in the meantime, as mentioned earlier, please head over to the HID website and have a look at some of the activities that are there, some gardening skills, some chair-based yoga, if you're looking for something in a way to relax this lunchtime. And look forward to seeing you back here at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And thanks to all our speakers from this morning. It was really appreciated and we've had lots of lovely messages. So see you at 2. Thanks. Bye.